All right, 2 mics it is. So I'm Vaibhav. I'm one of the co-founders over at Boundary, and we make BAML. Before I base on the intro, how many of you have not heard of BAML before? Some of you guys. I'll give you as a brief background. The idea is we're all using LLMs now, and we'd like to make LLMs a lot more reliable and nice to use in our code base. So how many of you guys, when you write Python code, or how many of you have written a website before? Let's just start with that. Almost everyone. Do you guys remember the days when we used to write websites like this? Why is Copilot turning on? When we used to write websites like this, and then all of a sudden you'd make a syntax error, and now your intern would break your entire homepage forever. We would like to not have that happen, because in the end these are just strings. So we've all decided on this wonderful framework called React, which allows us to instead write websites like this, where HTML is a part of the code base. And we can get static analysis. If you do something weird like this, you get squiggly lines. If I turn this to JSX, you get squiggly lines. You know that things aren't compiling correctly and such. And this developer experience allows us to not just have prettier code, but more importantly, have maintainable code that actually works. What does this look like in the world of LLMs? That's the problem that BAML is solving. So I'll show you a code base that I have spun up. But let's start off with a really quick example of something that we've built. Oh, where's my arc? So what I have here is, and BAML is open source and there's a repo and I'll point you to it, but I have a route planner where if I have a Tesla and I want to go all the way from Columbus, Ohio to Seattle and I want to stop by Dallas on the way, I kind of want to have a route built for me. Don't want to use Google Maps because it doesn't really work. I want to use LLMs, but I want to have the reliability in the UX kind of like Google Maps. How would you go build something like this? You can actually, and you'll see this happen, it'll start planning its trip. And when it starts planning the trip, problem with LLMs is that they're slow, and I didn't get a chance to build streaming into this, but streaming should have been pretty easy as well. But what you'll see as it loads is when it plans a trip is it's actually able to go ahead and start writing out my map. And you'll see, if you look closely, you'll see some red dots and some blue dots. That's because what I want is, do I have my hover effect still? I want the blue dots to represent charging stops versus stopovers where I can actually go and like stay overnight. So stop number 5, right after stop number 5 is going to be blue, and you can see it's right near Franklin, Tennessee. And if I zoom out and I go look over here, right around Tennessee, I get a blue dot. So it's easy for me to visually view this, and as a developer, this no longer feels like ChatGPT that I'm talking to. It feels like its own unique application that is a lot more personalized and actually taking advantage of AI as a feature rather than AI as a sole thing that I'm wrapping it around. You can build things not just like that, but a similar example is going to be something like this, where if I want to build a recipe, we can all ask ChatGPT to generate recipes. But it's a lot more interesting. I don't know. I don't like any of these. I like Saag Paneer a lot. It's a lot more interesting when I enter something like Saag Paneer and actually build a recipe for me. And even while it's loading or streaming in, I can start playing around with it and watch the numbers change and just interact with it to what I want as soon as possible. And this is kind of what BAML allows. And the way BAML allows for this is you end up writing all your code in, oops, why isn't it showing me a diff? I'll be out really quick. You end up writing all your code in BAML files, which you check into your code base. You have a function has parameters, and then a return type, which is described in schemas. You write your prompt, you declare any model you want to use. You can use almost any model. You can actually see your full prompt in real time. You can see the raw requests that we make under the hood, so it's not like a very opinionated framework. We just give you all the debugging tools. You can see the tokens that you're actually rendering and sending to the prompt. And so if you change anything here, it changes right here in real time. And the best part is you can write test cases and then actually run them. And if we do some magic JSON stuff, we'll talk about that at a different time. But the important part is we guarantee that no matter what the LLM returns, you'll get this data type. So then in Python, TypeScript, Ruby, or anything else that you want, you can actually go ahead and write some code that looks like this from BAML, and I'll zoom out. Close. From BAML client, import B, resume equals b.extract resume. So my resume function here is the resume type. resume.experiences is going to be a string type. Let's go ahead and change that really fast. Let's change resume.experience in my BAML code to be an experience type. In my Python code, it's an experience type. So it stays completely in sync as you go through it. And if you end up streaming, as you're doing this, email is going to be an optional while you're streaming. As soon as you're done, you get the final response, it becomes type safe and guaranteed to be a string type. So these developer experience ease give you the same benefits that React does with JavaScript and HTML, allowing you to build really sophisticated websites with static analysis, type checking, compile time checks with LLMs. That's BAML. If you end up using it today, a few of us around will help you out. And then we have some really cool demos with Neo4j as well.